Hey everyone, here today with Jeff Matthews from North Shore Now, and he's been a buddy for a while. He also helps run a community called Snowball, which is something maybe we can talk about later at the end. But stoked to have him here. He's been doing his for 6 months, and I think we got a lot of interesting stuff to get into. So thanks for being here, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for having me, TJ. This will be fun.
Yeah, yeah. So real quick, introduce yourself, talk a little bit about where you're at today, and then maybe we could dive into how and why you started too. But what numbers are you at, just for context for people?
Contacts right now, we're at just over 7,500 subs, about a 63% open rate.
Nice.
And the click-through rate kind of floats between, say, 13 and 16%.
Man, those are really good numbers.
Yeah, we're pretty happy with that. And yeah, just trying to keep the party going.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. All right. And to be clear, you're in what was it like? Is it North Vancouver?
Yeah, so we're in North Vancouver,
Yeah.
and so yeah, geographically, like Vancouver is a big sort of West Coast Pacific Rim city, and it's kind of separated into smaller cities. So it's like a collection of smaller cities. But North Vancouver, where we are, and West Vancouver, right beside us, are separated from the main part by a bridge, by water. So there's two bridges that go across there, and that kind of led to the whole creation of this newsletter, because the people that live here have just like an immense amount of pride living here. A lot, like, we complain about a lot of things for sure, but people are really like happy to live here. It's clean, it's safe, all that stuff. Lots of stuff to do, like outdoor activities. But to do anything fun, it's been long known that you got to cross a bridge, and that will take years off your life. I'm not kidding you. I mean, like, every city has their traffic problems, but when you have 300 and some odd thousand people living on one side and only two bridges to cross to get across that are like 3 lanes wide, like, it's awful. So we just said, let's make this fun, like, let's try to curate all of the activities that we can find and all of the events that we can find and send it out every week, because that's what we would want. Like, we live here and it's missing, and that would be cool to have. So let's create the newsletter that we want. So that kind of led to this whole thing about nobody wanting to cross a bridge. So that's kind of our unique sort of geographical thing. It's like we're a city within a city kind of thing.
No, that makes perfect sense. I feel like yours is a better example of how I thought about mine, which is like, oh, I'm 30 to 40 minutes from Austin. Like, yeah, there's a lot of events in Austin and it's easy to find that, but I don't want to drive 30 minutes. So yours is the same concept, except worse, or worse, but better, because it makes even more sense to be like, we do not want to cross that damn bridge. That's even worse than just driving 30 minutes. So,
Yeah, and honestly, like, there's Facebook events, and there's like community associations have their events list, but I mean, it's just messy. It's everywhere, right? Like honestly, every week we check almost 100 different websites for events, and that's the service we're providing, right? I mean, people have to do that to find. But there's a lot of people didn't know, like, there are live music venues on this side of the water. You don't have to go downtown to find all that stuff. There is live comedy. There is stuff for kids. There's lots of stuff for adults. There's lots of stuff for seniors. It was just finding the stuff was the big difficulty. And so, kind of on a mission to say that, like, you don't have to cross a bridge. Once you get home, you can stay here and still have a good weekend or whatever.
yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, it seems like a good tagline. You don't have to cross the bridge. And
Yeah.
that's a good one. All right, tell me, like, what your goals maybe were when you started this. Like, obviously I see why, the value prop to, socially or to help people solving your own problem. But I imagine didn't do it out of charity or
No.
thinking you were going to do this as charity. So what do you think, what were your goals, or what were your ideal outcome? What were you thinking when you started it?
Yeah, that's a good question. We had always had the idea, like, let's try and make money at this. Like, let's try to create a local newsletter as a business. And so there was kind of two thought processes that we had. One was to obviously have the newsletter itself generate revenue, whether it's through sponsorships, whether that's through sponsored events, whether that's through merchandise that like branded merchandise that you sell on the back end of it. That's one piece. And then the other piece was thinking that, like, all right, we own some first party data here. We own a direct line of communication to a customer. Maybe we can use this to find local businesses to invest into. So writing small checks to 2 or 3 businesses. Now we own a marketing arm that we can help prop up the business, and so that's the other sort of side of the thought behind monetizing this whole business venture.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that sounds like what a lot of us thought, and makes sense. So,
Well, the investing into local businesses was not really something that I had heard people talk about a lot. Like, I know you talked about it and a couple others, but I feel like when people get into this game, like, the automatic is, oh, I'll just sell ads.
yes, that's true for a lot of people. You're right. I almost
Yeah.
feel like the smarter people who've really dug into the concept and have been entrepreneurs before and whatnot kind of see the value of either partnering, investing, whatever in other businesses. But yeah, for the people who maybe aren't quite as savvy, that's what they're thinking, right? I'll just get an audience and I'll just sell ads. And again, it's possible, right? Some people are doing it successfully, but it's quite difficult.
It's difficult to scale. I mean, especially when you're talking local newsletter. Like, for us, we're like local, right? Like, we're a city within a city. So, we're looking at local businesses who don't really have an understanding of ROIs and that kind of stuff. They don't understand the metrics, and they don't really have a budget. Like, I could reach 50,000 people on the North Shore, but they still only have $400 or $500 to spend. You know what I mean? So so unless you're just gonna keep going after realtors and people that put their face on the side of a bus stop, I mean, I mean, you can do that, but there's very few people that would have a strong budget and understand the return and how to sort of use that to their advantage with terms of, like, special offers and that kind of stuff. They just don't know, right? And a lot of the times they're one person operations, or they're like, that's who we're dealing with here. So, but I mean, the larger that we get, I mean, there's nothing that would say that, like, a larger company wouldn't want to advertise to a like a smaller pool or a collection of geographic, targeted geo or something like that with the North Shore here. So, yeah, I mean, there's opportunity there, but it's a grind, right? I mean, trying to, like, sell ads sucks, really sucks.
Yeah. Well, to maybe give some background. What have you done there? Have you sold ads? How much have you tried? What kind of experience have you had so far with it?
I tried everything. We have had. I mean, you start putting this stuff out. I mean, you will get some inbound, right? Like, there are some people that are genuinely interested, but I took lists, man. Like, I looked at a couple of trade shows, and I scraped all of the vendors. I looked at the Chamber of Commerce for both cities, and then just went to work, man, finding contact information. Like, I'd use, like, Apollo or something like that to grab some emails, and just start cold emailing people, man. Like, and that's just a numbers game, right? Like, you'll get 1 or 2 responses every, like, couple hundred emails that you send out, right? So, yeah, like, you think about how many of those emails that you open personally, it's like, it's not many. So it's a bit of a grind to find that stuff. And then, that's kind of all I've tried there. I mean, we've traded actually an ad for a spot in a farmer's market recently, which was kind of fun. So we went and were able to talk to all the vendors there. And we had, like, little information sheets with, like, made up, so we could go around and say, hey, like, we do a bunch of marketing for the market. Here's who we are, here's who we serve, kind of thing. And it was easier to have those conversations face to face rather than just cold emailing a bunch of people. But we have had some ads. It's, fairly, I mean, it was fairly revenue neutral for a while because, every dollar on ads was that we would get in ads would be spent on meta ads. So Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot of work to get into that. So finding other ways to monetize the newsletter was like, it's always on the top of our mind. Every time I send a cold email, I'm like, God, this sucks so hard. I just want to like find a different way, or find something, find a way where people can pay like consistently, right? Which is what led us to like the paid subscriber model to test that out. So it's just like throwing a whole bunch of stuff out there and seeing what works. And the nice thing is, man, is that people are really responding well. Like when we've talked to people, so we did some hats, and we've done we had a local artist hand paint a can from each of the local breweries. So it's like, it's like a set of 9, and they're all hand painted, and then she got it scanned, and we've done a limited run, signed and numbered. And we did it, sort of launched it in time for Father's Day. And so that was kind of the whole idea of mine. It was a big Father's Day gift, signed and numbered, local artists supporting local businesses and supporting local entrepreneurs at the same time. So we tried that, and when people buy them, we do a pickup event. So we're like, we're going to be here having beers at 7:00. Come by and pick up your hat. They're ready. Or come by and pick up your print. They're ready. And so when anybody has come, we've had a conversation with them, ask them, like, give us some feedback. What are your thoughts? And people are genuinely giving us a very long leash to figure this stuff out. Longer than we thought. I thought we were frustrating people, asking them questions all the time, asking them for money to buy stuff all the time. I just thought, man, we're not making any friends here. But people are so happy with the work that's being done, and they're just like, man, this is so cool. I wish we had this earlier. Like, you guys are awesome. I'm glad we're meeting like the people behind it. And they're like, no, man, like, keep trying stuff. It's cool, like, so they're really supportive, and that's really encouraging. Kind of helps the fire keep going.
Yeah, that's I think that's an interesting point. I'm glad you brought that up, because I haven't done as much of that, but I think this is something people need to get used to, is that what we're doing, because it comes in like email form, even though we, at least on my end, I don't know how much, I don't think you do it as much necessarily, but like we put ourselves in the newsletter trying to humanize it. And even when we ask for feedback or, we'd love you to do that, so few people do anything. So few people write in, thanks guys, this is so great. Like, with how many subscribers we have, I would have thought we'd get at least a little bit more. It's so rare to get any real positive feedback, in more than maybe at the bottom, people click, this was a great issue. But that to me is not necessarily the same thing. But then my wife would come home and be like, I was at this place and I was talking to this person and they didn't realize we were the ones who did this, and they had such great things to say, and their friend told them about it, because, and you hear these stories. And so, like, I think the point is, we have a much bigger impact than you'll feel. And it's because there's a reason. People just don't think of emails as like going to a person, right? Even though we tell them, right? Like, if you reply to this, it comes to us. Like, people just don't treat it that way. They just don't.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to get a lot of feedback, even though you have a big impact. So it's cool that you were having a way to get that feedback from them.
Well, even when we talk to people at the event and we're like, like, if you have any feedback, or, now that you know us, I mean, just hit reply. It's just us two behind the email. And they're like, oh, really? Like, there's not a team of people behind this, like, it's just us two. So just hit reply. And there's like the shock is like, really? I can do that? I'm like, yeah. They, it's not just an email to them that they can respond to. It's like this publication that they,
right.
that it's faceless. But so hopefully we're breaking down some of those barriers. But if only positive comments paid the mortgage, that would be nice.
That'd be great. Yeah. All right. Well, tell me again, real quick. Tell me about acquisition. So you have 7,500. How long have you been doing it? Like 4 or 5 months, or
January 2nd was the first issue. So
okay,
this
so
is,
about
6 months or so.
6 months. Okay. 7,500. How did you get those?
At first, I want to say like the first 500 to 1,000 came from like Facebook groups.
Okay.
We are, in a community that's basically just a collection of Facebook groups, moms groups, buy nothing groups, buy this or that, share clothes, whatever. Like, there's just tons of dads meetups, whatever. There's tons of these Facebook groups, right? And they all, most anyway, had like Fridays you can promote on Fridays, or Mondays you can do self promotion or whatever. And that was it, man. That was it. That was we would just make sure we put something in there for like the 3 weeks or 2 weeks or so before we started, and then people started to pump in their email addresses pretty frequently, and then around the second week it was like getting serious about meta ads. And so we just sort of messed around with it. Like I had no idea who or how to make this. Like we hadn't done it. Like our background is like e-commerce and that kind of stuff. Like the PPC through Amazon and stuff. Like knowing meta ads was just foreign to us. It's like learning a new language. So we grinded it out and we got some ads going, and they were okay for a bit. Like we copied what other people were doing, like Leander Scoop and some other local newsletters that we follow, and just put some creative together and sent it out there, and it was working really well for a while. It was new, it was engage worthy, right? Like people were thinking like, oh, this is different, and then it started to get really exhausting to the point where we just couldn't keep the ads on anymore. It didn't make sense. You just kept seeing the price clip up over $1, then over $2, then over $3, then over $4, and you're just like, this is what happened, And then so you turn the ad off and you make new creatives, and then you put up another one and you sit and watch it for 24 hours, and then it comes back at like 3 something, and it's like, well, turn that off and try something else. And it got really frustrating to the point where I just got to shut it off. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but to go from 7,000 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers at $4 a pop is I'm no math wizard, but that's not a number even worth figuring out. So so then it was just jumping on a call with anyone who I could talk to that was talking about meta ads, which led me to chatting with you, because we'd known each other for a while, and I know that you were tweeting about some of the ads that were working for you. So I was like, dude, we need to talk. And after chatting with you and sort of honestly can't even really figure out what exactly was fixed, but just going back to scratch, going back to step one and sort of rebuilding it, whatever it was, man, like just fixed whatever was busted there. And now we're down to like, we go between 40 and 60 cents for Canadian, the last like 3 weeks, which is great. I love it. That's awesome.
To be clear, that's Canadian dollars, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, but it's real money, so it's okay.
Well, I mean, that's debatable, but yeah, we'll let that go. Different podcast for that. But no, man, So is that where we haven't talked in a little bit since we did that? Is that still where
it's still hanging around there, yeah. And it's been really good because we're adding, 100 to 300 subscribers a week through that. So I figure like as long as it keeps going at that price. The things that I don't know is because we've confined ourselves geographically here, like where it begins to tap out. Like I figure like 7,500-ish subscribers, and depending on what publication you read, there's about 75,000 households on this side of the water. So I mean, if we've reached already 10% of the households, like it's going to come a point where we've sort of got the subscribers we're going to get. Hopefully that's still a long way off, but
yeah. I mean, there is a top out, right? But I don't think you're necessarily close to that. I mean,
with the numbers that are coming in every week still, like I'm still confident that we've got a long road ahead of us. And it's,
what is the just to make numbers easier instead of households, although that's actually probably a better way to think about it. But what is the population? Was it 300,000 maybe?
I think it's around 300,000, but obviously that includes kids and whatever, right? Like so, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the same everywhere, right? So you say between, call it under 18s and over 75s.
Yeah. So when I think about households, I mean, I think about a house with at least one, adult that would subscribe to this newsletter.
But there's no reason they both couldn't or shouldn't, right? That's why I wouldn't, the husband and a wife can both. it would make
I
sense to
suppose, or there's
subscribe.
cohabitants or roommates or whatever. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
but
yeah.
I figure like at least one person per household, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
Um,
probably a good frame. But yeah, I mean, to me, the way I normally think about it is population. I mean, to get to 20,000 of a 300,000 population seems obviously very, very doable.
yeah, it doesn't
Um,
seem unreasonable to think
no,
that, you know,
no,
that
not at all, not at
yeah.
all. But it's gonna get harder, right? Because if as you know now you're back down to a reasonable number, but at some point it is gonna get more and more difficult, and you're probably the I'm not there yet either to have to stress about this, but I think getting more in the community and word of mouth where people just sign up for it because they've heard about it because they just keep hearing about it all the time, right? And that's why I'm
Yeah.
impressed that you did the farmers market or whatever. By the way, can I ask how did that go? Like, because I think about doing that a lot and I just haven't gotten around to it. As far as a, it's good, like you said, meeting the vendors, but then b, getting people to subscribe. Like, did how did that go?
Um, it was different for us because like we don't really have any marketing, so like we're not set up to do a farmers market, right? I don't have a banner, I don't have
Well,
a
that's what I was
table
gonna say.
booth or
Yeah,
whatever. Like
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, it really was kind of people stopping by our booth being like, what do you do,
How do
you
you do
know?
here?
Yeah.
Hey, intrigue can be the best, right? Just put a
Well,
big
yeah.
question mark on your banner and
Yeah.
when you come in.
So it went it went okay. Like the we had a lot of people come up and talk to us, and we went around and talked to all the vendors. Um, and I think it's something that we'll do again, actually,
Nice.
because this market goes every Wednesday through the summer, down at a really busy area, and I think that it's worth it, you know, especially when you have like merch, when you've got stickers and hats and a board game and posters and whatever, like stuff that people can actually buy on the spot, would make a difference too. But yeah, but just people coming by saying that they subscribe and they're just happy that we're here. And oh, I saw on Instagram that you were going to be here, so I wanted to come down to say hi. Like we got a lot of that, and it was like a really good feeling. And again, if these good feelings help pay the mortgage, it would be fantastic. But
Well,
I
they
think,
just help you know you're on the right track, right? Even if
well,
it's not paying the mortgage yet.
yeah, because at the end of the day, this is really fun.
Hmm.
So there's that aspect of it too, which is kind of like you can't really put a price on that, right? It's fun, and for now at least, we're really enjoying it. But it just came about where this one lady who has a small business who had advertised in our newsletter as a title sponsor, um, and then she actually recommended it to another business owner friend of hers to also advertise in the market, or in our newsletter. But then she also part time kind of works for this market called Coastal Markets. But they have these markets in all sorts of different spots around the greater Vancouver area. One of them happens to be on the North Shore here,
Hmm.
and she brought it up to us. She was like, "Would you guys want to do a table and just come and like talk to people?" And we're like, "Yeah, what would that be? What would that involve?" And she said, "Well, what if I traded you an ad spot for coming to the market?"
Hmm.
So it's like easy, sure. I mean, we have some people who have sponsored, but I mean, there's holes in the schedule, obviously, right? So it's like great, absolutely. So that was kind of easy, and that was it. She lent us a table and a tent, and the artist that we had do the beer paintings for us had an easel. So she lent us that, and we basically just cobbled it together. And it's funny because it looked like we were just selling a poster. Nobody actually really knew who we were, but but yeah, that was the whole reason why they would stop and talk to us, you know.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then we had little QR codes that people could sign up on the spot. Had a little iPad there. People could just type in their email address and subscribe right away. I don't know if we got a ton, but it also didn't cost us anything.
Yeah.
And it was another touch point with
That's right.
people, right? It was just the more people that know us or know that there's two residents kind of that are behind this, I think is important. And people are responding really well to that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, one idea to think about, and again, a farmer's market may not be ideal for this, but you already got the trade. Again, I know some people would say, "Oh, we're not in the business to be trading things. We need to make money." But yeah, we're at the beginning phases. You got to do what you got to do until you get there. But obviously, I think bigger picture, you
Well,
probably don't have a
I thought
banner.
that that would be because the whole point of that was to go around and talk to the other vendors there who could be sponsors and
Hmm.
partners and collaborators in the future.
Oh,
So
totally.
we
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to get
No,
in
I
front
think
of
it
that.
makes perfect sense. I would absolutely do that. And here's what
Yeah.
here's what I'm thinking again. Not I don't know if farmers market makes sense, but um, in some ways, what else could you trade for? So we just talked to a guy who wants to advertise in mine, and he does like documentaries about I don't know what you call them, and documentaries about old people or whatever. Like, oh, film your grandparent, and so now you get this memorable thing about their life, kind of
Yeah,
before they
yeah,
go, whatever. Which
yeah.
I think there's a huge AI play there, which I don't think he's doing yet. But anyway, he's a videographer who does this, and he brought up, he's like, hey, of course he can't afford ads, right? But he's like, hey, are there events or anything you want me to come film? I'll do it for free if you just give me ads, right? Which again, I think this is a common thing. So um, what else can you do that for, and maybe even combine together? So one of the ideas, again, farmers market is probably not ideal, but maybe there are other events where it's like, hey, if you can get a great photographer or videographer to come, now imagine you set up like a really nice like background and you get a professional photographer. I know for me and my my wife, my kids, anytime we see that, we're jumping over there, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to pay $100 or $300 for a professional family photo, and yet now you're providing this great value for people to come to your booth, and you didn't pay for any of it, right?
Hmm.
And now you're probably the coolest booth because you're giving away free things. Another example here, maybe they wouldn't want to trade as much, but theoretically, if it's a fun type of event, the face painting people, those people who paint kids' faces,
Yeah, yeah.
trade for them an ad slot. Now they come paint faces at your booth.
Oh my
All the
God,
kids want to
you
come
got
to
a
your booth.
lineup.
Parents are hanging out there for you to talk to them, and you didn't spend any money, right? So I think there's a lot of angles of giving things away that make you incredibly valuable there that then just pays you back in a different way.
Giveaways are huge. We have a
Yeah.
giveaway in almost every issue.
So tell me about that. How? Because I wanted to get into this. This is to me. You seemed a little less excited about this than I was because I'm excited by this. Um,
Well, it's
how's it?
cool
Tell me about it.
because the base of the email that we send every week is like it's no politics, no bad news, just positive vibes. We're just spreading goodwill. Like I don't want anything negative. Like we're not journalists, we're not any of that stuff. It's just good vibes every week. Happy fun bus, jump on board. That's kind of the thing, right? And so these giveaways really make people excited. And it can be everything from a gift basket, somebody makes homemade sweets, whatever, $100 to a local restaurant, whatever. Like there's tons of it. And the thing, like yes, I like that side of it, but whenever somebody says, "Hey, I want to do a giveaway," and we say, "All right," we have a section in the newsletter that's like so and so from this business is happily giving away one lucky winner, whatever. Follow on Instagram, follow us, and answer yes or no to add you to this thing, and then you're automatically entered, right? So we get a follow on Instagram, they get a follow on whatever social they want, and we get an engagement like click on the newsletter. Great. And then in the next newsletter, with the reader's permission, we'll either publish their name or not. But it's again last week's winner of so and so from so and so's company. So they basically get two mentions
Mhm.
for nothing. And
Well,
so
yeah.
we get to like spread shiny goodwill and make people happy. That's great. But again, sometimes I would have rather that they just bought an advertising spot
Of course.
and you know what I mean. So it's a bit of a you know I don't know what's better because like right now we're really pushing hard on Instagram. I think there's no reason why we couldn't be the biggest and most influential Instagram account on the North Shore here. There's no reason why we couldn't
That's
do
true
that.
for I think all local newsletters like ours. For those who put the effort into it, that should be true. Now, again, putting effort into it the
It's
right way is
just time.
difficult. It's
It's just
time. It's
time.
hard. You got to have good editing. Have good. It's
Oh
hard,
man,
but
you
it's
got to
doable.
have your shot list. You got yeah, all that stuff. But I mean, it'll come in time, right? Like no big
Yeah.
Instagram account started like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all, you go back and look at video one. It's awful, right? But
Hmm.
um, Yeah, so I mean, it's basically looking at what's working in other cities and just building out like a content queue and saying, okay, who's going to go film this on what day, and then what shots are you going to get? Like that's going to be important because if you just show up and be like, oh, just whatever, sometimes you'll come
Well,
home with nothing, and sometimes you'll.
but even that's I mean, that stuff can't, even just the casual can work, although it is ideal to kind of, again, I think editing solves that. It's less the filming it's the editing.
Well, you can't edit if you don't have something, or if you don't have something usable, right? Like if you, it's all whitewashed in the back and you can't see that, or like if every market that you go to or every restaurant that you go to, you want to do a time lapse or a hyperlapse around the thing, or you want to make sure you get a shot of the sign or whatever, or a shot of you walking in the door, like just not maybe not a complete A to Z shot list, but like certain things that you want in there every time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably true. Some things you want to get. Well, I will say one other thing because he actually is going to come on next week. So Jacob Espinoza, I think that, yeah, Jacob
Oh,
Espinoza.
Salem.
Say in Salem, yeah. So he's crushing it on Instagram, and I think.
Just talked to him the other day.
Oh, did you? Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
what's interesting about him, everybody, when that goes live, listen, and then also go check his Instagram. But what he is doing is actually not what we're talking about, right? He's doing, now he may do some of that too, but he does the lo-fi easy way of just like commentary, right? So take somebody else's video, or don't even, just literally sitting at his desk talking about what's going on and putting himself in the bottom left corner, the common thing, and just talk about what's happening. I mean, I feel like you'd be perfect for that.
Well, yeah, so I think that we look at his account quite often and be like, what can we do here that's similar to that? Like, because everybody is in a different city and their readers are going to respond differently, different socioeconomic, whatever. Like, people are going to respond differently. But there are some things that I think are just going to be interesting to just about everybody. And I think picking those out from not just his, but like people who have had success on Instagram, it's like finding where they were when they went like that. and then sort of looking back at that section and be like, all right, something hit and resonated with the audience right around here. How can we find that for here? But yeah, I looked at his videos, and yeah, a lot of it's just like green screen, talking over a screenshot, being like, oh, here's what's going in this building on whatever street.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, man, like that's all of a sudden all this stuff seems doable now because nobody else here is doing that.
That's right. It's just you'd be the only one doing it. And I think a lot of where content is going, not just in local newsletters, but everywhere, is more lo-fi, more human, less production value. Now, again, I still think there's value in production value in certain instances, but that doesn't have to be your whole channel. It's like, ooh, these super well-edited professional videos around town. It can just be you sitting there chatting for 30 seconds about something that happened in town. And
Yeah.
that's it. And I think people are gravitating toward that.
Yeah, and if that's the one that gets engagement, if that's the style of video that gets engagement, then it's not up to someone who says, "Oh, hey, I'll pay you $5,000 to do an Instagram campaign for my company, but I want you to do it this way." It's like, no, here's what's going to work.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Hey, the easy
I
way.
get to call that shot. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
no.
interesting. I think Instagram is going to be our sort of focus. I think now, because I mean we've tried the ad game and getting the sponsorship game, and although that's never going to go away, you can't go all in on that because you send 4 emails a month, and there's a limit to how much budget people have. So you really put a ceiling on what
Well, I think
what you're going to make there. So. Then we've tried products, right? We tried the hat, we tried the beer print, and we've created a game which we haven't actually announced yet because I'm scared because 170 people said they wanted the hat, 30 people bought one. Like a bunch of people said they wanted the print. So luckily this is all pre-order, right? And we're only going to like order what we sold, which is fine. But we had higher expectations. So like although we didn't lose money on these runs, they're not a regular source of income.
Yeah.
So then we switched to like, all right, we're offering a metric ton of value here every week for people. We need to be getting paid for this. Like we've created a full-time job on top of our full-time jobs here. We're putting a lot of work into this. And although it takes us way less time to do the newsletter now than it did at the beginning, it's a lot of effort, and it's time spent doing that is time not spent doing something else that could be producing money. So how can we get paid for this? is it unreasonable with 7,500 plus people that 1,000 of them pay $5 a month, $6 a month, $10 a month? Like, is that unreasonable to ask? And if you're going to do that, it's like, all right, well, we need to offer something special for people who pay to subscribe. And then it's like, all right, so now we have a special Tuesday email going out. And then it's like, well, wait a second. We just got more efficient at one newsletter and we basically just created a second. And now that's eating up all of our time. And it's slow rolling out, right? So like, all right, well, maybe the paid subscription model isn't going to work here. It has worked really, really well in a couple other areas, which we were trying to model after. But it's just, we don't have a team and we only have so many hours in the day. So we have to think that we got to pull the plug on that early, I think, and say, okay, the paid subscription model is not going to work here. So what is going to work? You know, we're just going to throw another spaghetti noodle at the wall and see if that one sticks. And right now we're thinking, okay, Instagram. Like, talk to Jacob, man. Like, Instagram is his number one source of income right now. And others too, like the couple in Cincinnati. Instagram has like become the number one revenue driver for them. And it's like, all right, we need to get it to a way where we're relying less on weekly sponsors, or getting some kind of collective where people are paying monthly and they're getting, you know, we're rotating through these businesses and we can all kind of survive together. I think Jacob does that too, which is interesting.
Yeah. I think what you just said is the answer, but it's a combo of everything you just said. So number one, by adding Instagram or getting that at least pretty good. Again, you don't need 50,000 right away, but you know, getting that to get up there. You're now selling packages, not like an ad. You are selling a package of, hey, you get, you know, 2 ads a month, or in your case, probably you only do once a week. Okay, 1 ad a month, but also 1 shout out a month on a Instagram, and then maybe every 3, you know, if they do, especially make it over time, right? Like a 6-month package or a 12-month package. Hey, every 3 months we'll make a video specifically for you or about you. Like shit, I'll even come to your place and like film your business and we can talk about it, and that'll be an Instagram reel.
Yeah, because you know how like when you go to like not a trade show, but like a conference or whatever, right? And they have like their gold sponsors and then their silver sponsors and then their bronze sponsors, and they're all just there and they're just on the marketing, like the big banner at the front, right? And everybody can see it all the time. And I'm like, so what if you had, you know, 8 or 10 businesses that pay monthly? And okay, so only one of those businesses can be the top featured sponsor that week. But if every email, like your partners are down somewhere, just, you know what I mean, like listed, like special thanks to our partners kind of thing. So I think that it's just I think that could work. But I think my biggest lesson right here is having a pitch, like having a polished elevator pitch when you talk to people about what you do, because out of 7,500 people, man, a lot of those people are business owners, and a lot of those people are, you know, prospective like advertisers or people that would be interested in this thing. But you need to be able to explain it, and I've known that through other businesses that we've had in our life, but I didn't know that about this until like that market, and we got caught off guard. There was a local travel company here, well known. Everybody knows the name. I probably shouldn't mention it here, but it's like this guy, and he's trying to bring in people to his event. And at the event, though, he's obviously trying to sell them cruises and big vacation packages and that kind of thing, right? And so he got in touch with us, and he's like, okay, well, I see you like do these like events every week. I would like my events included. And we're like, I don't want to include those events. Here's our rate sheet. And he's like, well, wait a second. Like, what's the difference? Tell me what the difference is by you including these events in your newsletters, but you won't include my event in the newsletter. And it was something that we couldn't really explain being put on the spot like that. Like the difference between you wanting to bring people to your event and basically just try to sell them stuff versus somebody going to a wine tasting event and learning about Japanese, blends or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like to me, like, yes, okay, they're still trying to sell them wine, but it's not. It's more of a social thing. It's not the same thing, right? But it's like, how isn't it the same thing? It's like, well, but because but and it was just like, I don't know how to explain that. So getting off that call, being like, all right, I need to go in and like just clean up and have like a little 11-second pitches, when I'm talking to a potential advertiser, when I'm talking to a potential subscriber, when I'm talking to somebody who might want to be part of this business collective, and get them on board with what we're doing and cycling through Instagram and shout outs versus featured sponsor versus like an asterisk on a bullet point. And just trying to explain that to people. I need to clean that up. I need to have that sort of polished and ready. So that was sort of a big takeaway from a call recently.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I think the first thing that jumps out at me though is like, this is your newsletter, and if your whole job is to curate what you think people want to see, and so if you don't think that that's what they want, then you're not going to put. I mean, we get people sending us events all the time that are just like either too small or too random, in some super tiny weird niche, and it's like, well, that they're not even trying to make money, but it's just like that's it.
Yeah.
We can't feature everybody, so we have to make a decision, and it's our judgment call. And my judgment call is you pitching people cruises, you trying to trick people into timeshare meetings. Like, I don't feel obligated to put that in for you.
Yeah, and if you do, here's how much it costs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But being put on the spot like that was surprising. So it's just, like, maybe we'll never have a conversation like that again. But, being like, why do you include some events and not others? Having an answer to that.
But you're not going to have like I don't know that you need to have the right or wrong answer there. I don't think there is one. I think the answer is, it's just a judgment call, and you have ones that you think people are more interested, and you have to stop somewhere.
That's true. But I mean, face to face, telling somebody that their baby's ugly is like not, it's not like a comfortable conversation.
You ask me if your baby's ugly and I think it's ugly, I'm going to tell them it's ugly. Like, don't ask if you don't want to hear the answer.
Yeah, right.
I know. Trust me. I know it's awkward.
It's,
I would be super uncomfortable. But
I feel like
you don't want to let somebody bully you into something, which sounds like what he was trying to do.
But, I want this to be an exchange of money. I want to monetize this. It is going to be a real business. I want people to treat it like a real business. So I feel like I need to do real businessy things, and be prepared to have those difficult conversations. But because I think that garners respect. Had we a solid answer for that guy, he might have come back and said, okay, sure, yeah, no problem, I'll put an ad in next week, But because it just kind of rubbed him the wrong way, and we didn't really have an answer, it was just because it's our newsletter, back off, And that didn't sit right, and the call got a bit testy, and it was just like, all right, well, I guess we'll never hear from them again. But they're a big company and lots of money, and it's like, well, that sucks.
They should happily advertise that. Plus, here's the other thing I would tell you too is if he advertises, you should, I don't remember if you do this, but like event of the week, either have a specific event of the week or just treat it as an ad and write a lot about his event. So it's like, okay, you can be at the very bottom in one line along with 30 other events, or I can put you at the very top with more information where you're going to get way more clicks. And for somebody with a lot of money, with a big business, like, it makes total sense that they would want to be at the top and be featured, make sure everybody sees it and understands it, then hope somebody read to the bottom and saw that last one and clicked on it. So, yeah. Okay, I want to ask you about this just real quick. This is one of my ideas, and I don't think this solves your problem of paid subscribers, but I've seen a couple people do this, and I think if done at scale, I think it could work really well, but I know that's difficult. You want people to pay. You said you need to give them more value, and you said you have a lot of businesses wanting to give things away. So can you combine these things together? So the only way you get access to the giveaways is if you are a paying subscriber. And then if you also go harder at giveaways, I know you said you get a lot of inbound, but what if you actually worked at getting them? It'd be way easier than getting cash, right? So what if you start having a ton of giveaways for your paid subscribers? So now you have fewer people, more giveaways, so much more likely they're going to get something. and then hopefully they're getting things that are more valuable than what they're paying you.
Yeah, that's it's definitely something we considered, because that's, you sort of flaunt that in the free newsletter, be like, oh, like, upgrade to paid, and like this person won this, or we're giving away this week, and upgrade to paid to make sure you're entered into the draw or whatever. It's interesting because like we started at $5.99 a month. It's less than the cost of a latte, and it's like I would for sure pay that. You know what I mean? To not have to go to 100 different websites to find out what's happening this weekend, to God, to not have to cross that bridge at any time would be amazing. So I would pay that. Like I would, and it's just other people. It's very slow. It's very slow to get people and feel like you're still offering them $6 monthly worth of value. I guess, yeah, okay. There's a thing for the giveaways, and we've been lucky with the giveaways so far. But is that sustainable? Like, will that continue? What happens when there's weeks when there isn't a giveaway? Do you just go and buy $100 gift card to a restaurant and give it away? You know what I mean? So to set those expectations, yeah. I mean,
What about I wonder if you probably have heard this a lot on the internet about subscription fatigue, right? Do you think there'd be a big enough impact if you just did annual, but especially if it was cheap enough? So I know this may not be what you want to do, but in theory, because I do know somebody who's doing annual at $25, and he has a large amount of people paying that. Now they do some other things. They actually, he's the one who gave me the idea about the photographer. So they do some stuff like that, but still it's like $25 a year. And here's what he does too, is he anchors them to, I think, $10 a month. So, right, it's $10 a month or it's $25 a year, right?
yeah,
So now you're doing the anchoring of like, holy crap, this is $120 if I pay monthly, but it's only $25 a year. Like that's a no-brainer. I can afford that right now, and then I don't have to. Technically, it's a subscription because you got to pay 12 months later, but it's not the same as being hit every month.
yeah. That's it. That's an interesting. Because we did offer the annual, but the thing that worried us about, and still worries us about the annual thing, is that we're only 6 months old, and we're still throwing shit at the wall and seeing what's sticking. We haven't figured things out yet, right? So,
You're $25 a year. You
no, I
say
know,
we're gonna go to 100 when we figure it out.
sure, but we do have a handful of people that have paid the annual, right? So it was like it's $5.99 a month or $59 a year, and there have been a handful of people that have paid $59 a year. But I don't know what's going to happen in the next 6-7 months. We might just shut this down. I have no idea. Like, if this doesn't, like if this, doesn't make money, or if it starts to become too much work, so those kind of thoughts go through our head. It's like, well, now we've locked ourselves into providing a year worth of content for these subscribers, right? And it's like, what if we change? What if we switch? I don't want to be paying all those people back. I don't want to be refunding people.
Well,
3 months into this, if we just decide, okay, maybe the reader supported model is not for us.
yeah,
We're gonna do something different, and now we got to like refund all these people. It's gonna suck.
yeah.
So
I mean, I see that
those kind of
concern.
things.
I mean, I'm sure some entrepreneurs might have that way of saying like, that this is not a problem you need to worry about. Like, yeah, maybe that happens. So what? Like, that would be one. But the other one is if you did my model of anchoring it at $10 a month, or 25 a year. Well, now on value alone, even if you quit after 2.5 months, that's what they would have paid. So,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
you got to do
true.
it for an extra 2.5 months. So that would be an angle around that.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah,
works.
but you're right. It may not be the best model. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think your idea of 8 or 10 like permanent sponsors. By the way, I hadn't even thought very much about what you just said until Monday. Literally, my partner on one of my newsletters, he's the one we just crossed 10,000, and he literally had the exact idea that you just said of like, what if they're just permanently at the bottom if we get our 8 sponsors, because we started the classified section. By the way, that might be something. Have we talked about, or you thought about classifieds?
we have it as an option, but no,
Okay.
nobody's brought into
Nobody's
it
taking
yet.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, that gave him the idea of saying, okay, there's businesses featured at the bottom, really small. It's not like an ad taking up a bunch of space. It's just like, something really small at the bottom. And Yeah, I think to your point, that's a good idea because now you can talk about it as you are visible every single issue instead of, oh, once a month, every single issue.
Could even be
I
at
think
the
it's a good
top.
idea.
You know how you get in like some blogs and they're like, oh, featured in Washington Post, the New York Times, and LA
Yeah,
Times,
yeah,
whatever, and it's just kind of like
yeah.
rotating. It's like, is that you could have that. It's like, okay, so your newsletter, in partnership with or as seen in whatever, and you have like a few like little ones. But today's issue is brought to you by,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, you
then
could
you
just
have
move it
like,
to the. You could just move it higher up. Like you still have the one, right? You've seen a lot of people. I don't know if you've done it. I think right where you just say logo, your logo, and then in partnership with one brand, and then maybe you have a little bit of content, and then boom, say this issue is brought to you by, and have all eight. I
yeah,
don't see why you couldn't do that. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, to your point, I like how you're being more honest and open about it of like, we're doing this to make money, and this is for most of your readers, this is free. People need to understand, as they most likely do when they think about it, when you get something for free that is taking somebody time and effort, the way they monetize it is through ads. That's why TV was free forever, because you had to watch ads, right?
yeah.
And that's just how it
Except
works.
now we pay for Netflix and Prime and still get served ads. But
Well, yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, there's lots of ways to do it. It's just like it's really because anything that you think of is going to create more work for you, and it would be nice to like see
Mm-hmm.
more immediate value
Mm-hmm.
from it. Like getting people excited about it. And for us, with those three buckets of people that I mentioned earlier, it's like who's going to pay for an additional Tuesday newsletter that includes events in a greater radius, like things that are worth crossing a bridge for, or things that who's going to pay for that? Like, it's going to be people without kids. People with kids are probably not going to do it. Seniors probably aren't going to do it. So then it was like, well, I'm paying for this Tuesday newsletter, but only this much of it really applies to me. So yeah, so it was really like trying to choose the thing that people are going to pay for outside of the newsletter, because like my thing is like, okay, the free newsletter is free, it's long, it's very comprehensive, and then every week we sort of claw back a section, and then that gets tucked into the paid one, and then next couple of weeks something else is missing and it's like upgrade to paid, right? But people are really slow to jump on board with it,
Yeah.
so it makes us wonder, like, for all this extra effort, getting one or two more paid subscribers every time you send it to 7,000 people, it's like, wow, that's not the return I was hoping for. So like, is this really going to turn into a thing? Like, is this really even going to be worth our time? So yeah, so that's it's early, but we're already wondering if we should change course, because the deeper we go, then if we decide to change course, there's a lot of people that need their money back, kind of thing, or a lot of people that are going to be not so
Yeah.
happy with this kind of thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I still think it's a viable model if you're providing incredible value. I think regular people are just much more hesitant to pay a subscription for something like this than like in a B2B world where this is much more common. I talked to Justin Gordon yesterday. I think his will go live tomorrow. I think, but he's doing a local one that's more B2B and talking about memberships and primarily the value coming from events, right? So now it's like, okay, if you're not a member, you got to pay $20 to go to the event. Well, members get in free, you know. And I just think there's a lot of different angles you can think about there, and if you can incorporate multiples of these all into one, now it becomes worth it for people to do it, right? With the giveaways and maybe free events and extra content. Maybe it's shout outs, right? Oh, maybe people care about that. You get to shout out, whoever you want. We put 3 of them in each newsletter. I don't know. But I think there's a lot of different angles. But yes, people are in general hesitant to pay.
Yeah,
So
we haven't proven that we can get anybody out to an event yet. Like
yeah.
people click on stuff and we can sell out events like that somebody already has that we've included in the newsletter. That's fine. But if we run our own event, like we did a parent patio takeover, we did pub night, a pub quiz night. So we put together like a pub quiz team,
Mm-hmm.
and then we did a playground takeover. So anybody with kids or whatever, and we just brought some like little donuts and stuff, and hung out at the playground for a couple hours, and our kid was able to run around and gave stickers to the kids, and that was like okay, but like there's not enough people
Well,
coming out to these things to make
yeah.
me think that if I reserve a spot or work with a business to say I want this venue big enough for 250 people and 6 people show up, so
But
like
what if you do? No, I totally agree. But what if you? Because you're right. This is a chicken and egg issue. But I also think about doing events where it's something more that they have to do yours to get the value instead of like, well, technically I could go to the park anytime. Yeah, Jeff's not going to be there and maybe some other people, but like the park is just free. Well, what if you did the event at, one of those playgrounds that cost $20 to get into?
yeah, I
And then
remember
you
you
go,
talked about that before.
yeah.
We don't have one of those.
Oh, you don't have it. Well, there's your business now. Go start one and then advertise it in your newsletter. But no, this is something we're talking about again. We just haven't taken action on this kind of stuff. But if you go to one of those, and then because we actually got told by a real estate agent recently, hey, we want to do events. Like we want you to do events. We'll pay for them, essentially. So now, if the playground place won't give us a discount, which they probably would, but if they wouldn't, well, we'll just get some sponsor to pay for it. So now we have this free thing. Then we limit it, right? And say, hey, it's limited to 50 kids, And then worst case scenario, nobody comes. Like the business didn't shut down for you. I'm not suggesting you like reserve the whole playground. It's more just like, hey, can we let 50 kids in and just have this little section in the corner to sit and say hi to people? I think it's just what my idea is, just kind of like de-risking the concept, right? Because you're right, it may not work, but it also might. And if you're giving people that incentive of, hey, it would cost to take two. I know here we have a bunch of these places. It's $20 per kid. If you got 2 kids, it's $40 to go in these places, and the kids freaking love them, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to. If you're telling me it's $40, but now it's free if I go when North Shore Now is there, hell yeah, that's incentive.
That's
right?
incentive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Struggle is real, man.
It is. I'm glad. I told you this is why I wanted to have you on. Like, let's talk about this. And I think really the main takeaway here, your incentive is either go invest in a local business or go start one, so that's your new advertising partner, right?
Yeah,
So
like you're sitting on a gold mine of leads, basically,
right.
that should be of value to any business really that wants to market here.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just positioning it, getting out there, talking, and just keep growing, man. Number go up. Like that's the game, right?
I think for you, like well, for anybody really, but you're close enough to 10,000. Like, get over that 5-figure number. Now you just sound better when you're talking to people. 5 figures
right.
is like a mental number.
Kind of a weird vanity number, but it is meaningful.
It sociologically, whatever it is. But so like get over that hump and then start doing the Jacob thing on Instagram. And essentially, okay, now you got 10,000 newsletter, then get to 10,000 on Instagram. Now when you go to pitch people, you've got 2 different 10,000 angles. I think that's going to work really well. And as you know, you talk to him and some of these other guys, they're succeeding really well doing this. So I think that's a good path. I mean, I'm sitting here telling you to do it. I obviously should be doing it. And I'm.
But here you are sitting there talking to me.
I'm doing this instead. So, and we'll see if this one pays off more than that. But anyway, cool, Jeff. Well, I know we're almost at time. So anything you want to leave anybody with, or thoughts, or ways to chat with you if they want, or give snowball info if you want.
Yeah, I don't know, but I would just say that, like, if you're struggling with meta ads like we were, reach out to TJ, because that was dude, I appreciate everything you get, because like we were basically throwing in the towel. We're like, I don't know, I can't figure this out. Everything we've tried is just, it works, but it's just like the cost was just insane, and I don't know what broke, and I didn't know how to go in and fix it, and like a 45-minute call with you basically was just, I don't know, man. It was just eye-opening. And so if you're struggling with meta ads, book a chat with TJ here. Like I'm not getting paid to say that, but I'm saving money by saying that. But like that was cool. That changed a lot for us. So thank you for that.
Awesome, appreciate it. I was happy to do it. And the reason we met, which is basically why I did, is because I'm in the group Snowball that you run, which is a great group. I'm not sure how many people who listen to this would be great candidates for it, but I don't know if you want to just say what it is real quick.
Yeah, it's just a vetted community of digital entrepreneurs and investors. So people that have are successful at their own business and want to learn from other people who are also successful and learn how to allocate capital within their business, learn how to grow their business. And if you've exited your business, then you learn how to allocate capital to other businesses. So it's basically just a cool room with a bunch of like a really high IQ of like digital business entrepreneurs, holdco people that have crushed it. So yeah, it's fun. It's not a noisy community. It's nice. It's very well thought out, questions and answers. So so yeah, that's snowballclub.com. If you want to pump in your email and get in touch, they can do that too.
Yeah, awesome, perfect. All right, well, thanks, Jeff. We'll talk
Thank
again
you,
soon.
Dave. All right, see ya.